Okay, joining me now is dietitian and CEO of BeFit Food, Kate Save. Let's talk a little bit about set point theory. What is it? And then we'll talk about the hormones that regulate it.
So a lot of people believe that our weight actually has a set point. Now there is lots and lots of research around this, but many different theories. So it's not just one thing that regulates our weight. They actually think it's more of a settling point perhaps. Okay. So with weight, we've got our hormones that are influencing it, genetics, so genetics is around 50% of the role, and then of course our lifestyle and our environment.
Okay, so let's talk a bit about these hormones you mentioned here, leptin and ghrelin, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. How do they relate to all of this?
Yeah, so they think that our fat cells, which actually produce this leptin, may be regulating our weight. So some of the studies have looked at when we reduce body fat, that after a while when people go back to regular eating, that body fat levels go up again, and leptin, which actually is supposed to suppress appetite, so when body fat goes up, leptin should go down, and if body fat goes down, leptin goes up. It is really regulating our brain and controlling how hungry we are. Now ghrelin is another, we call them incretins. They're hormones that influence our appetite, and the ghrelin, I guess, is really coming from the stomach, and that's stimulating appetite, but the leptin coming from the fat cells, which are almost like another endocrine organ. They secrete hormones, they talk to the brain, and they actually tell us whether we need to eat more or eat less. They can make us feel satiated or full. However, it doesn't always work that simply, because we know a lot of people can actually be resistant to this leptin, have plenty of fat cells but still feel hungry. Okay,
so there's always cases like that within all of this, but how does this concept challenge conventional weight loss strategies and I suppose diets and things like that as well?
Yeah, so very much I guess calories in and calories out. That model is talked about all the time for weight, and it certainly does play a role, but weight is far more complex. So if we think about a minimum weight and a maximum weight for the body, and the body wants to settle somewhere in between, and that's because it wants homeostasis.
I've heard that word before.
Yeah, it wants to stay neutral basically with its weight. So if you overeat in a particular sitting, you're not going to wake up the next day weighing a heap more. Your body maybe increases metabolism, slows down appetite the next day, and it all just catches up and you stay at this settling point. But for some people, weight moves up over time, and they think this may be because of the what we call hedonic influence of food. It stimulates our dopamine, makes us feel lots of pleasure, like pushing the button on the pokies.
The word hedonism comes to mind, I believe, in there.
Yeah, and that can maybe override this set point. So our weight keeps going up, and of course with all the toxins, the ultra-processed food, the sugar, the sedentary environment, the blue light, all of these things that we haven't seen in centuries before when people's weight was a lot more stable, and now it is going up.
Interesting. So just to finish for me, what are some criticisms and I guess alternative models that you've seen out there?
So they have looked at twin studies, for example, and they know even if twins are raised separately that they will actually have a similar weight.
Interesting.
So they could be raised in different households, and people that are raised in the same household tend to have a more similar weight even if you have an adopted sibling. So there's something around genetics, but they think genetics only plays perhaps 50% of a role. However, we've only found around 10% of genes that can control weight. So we still don't know which genes it is. So it really is lifestyle factors, hormones, and all of these other complex things that are coming into play. So if someone says, I can't change my weight because of your genetics, well, you can. 50% at least is under our control, but it's just not as simple as restricting. It's far more complicated. So we've got to be kind to ourselves, take some good advice, eat some more whole foods as usual.
Very good stuff from you. Set point theory. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.